Authors Randall, Pinkett, and Jeffrey Robertson, in their book Black Faces in White Places, said if experience is the best teacher, learning from someone else's experience is a close second. Tshiamo is proactive in seeking opportunities to learn from others. She lives the adage that when a student is ready, the teacher will appear. Tshiamo is always on the ready to learn, grow, and evolve. Tshiamo Thebe is a chartered accountant working as a senior specialist for a financial services company. She graduated from the University of Johannesburg with a bachelor's degree in accounting. She is a fellow of the Alan Gray Orbis Foundation and a former television presenter on SABC 2. Thank you for coming.
Hello.
Thank you for saying yes.
Sure. We'll talk about the yes as we get into the conversation. But for me, it was a big deal when I got the invite. So thank you so much for the invitation.
Yeah, I'm sure from the questions you'll understand why we're having this conversation.
We'll see.
So where were you born? Do you have siblings?
I was born in Bloem. That's what we call it. Everyone from Bloem calls it that. But the rest of South Africa calls it Bloemfontein.
Yeah.
I have 2 older siblings. I'm the last born of 3 girls.
Mm-hmm.
So my mom had her hands full.
And she thought, I still want more.
I think they were trying for a boy with me, shame.
Shame. And it's just...
And it didn't work out.
You see, you shouldn't gamble like that because it just... Yeah. But I'm sure they're happy with the result.
I don't know. That's a conversation we would have to have with them.
Satisfied with it?
Yeah.
And you're all close?
So when we were younger, we were not close because I was the last born and there's like a 7 and 10 year gap. So I wouldn't say they hated me, but you know how it goes.
Like, oh God.
They were besties.
Yeah.
And then I came along and it's like, oh, the brat,
Yeah.
you know. But the older we got, we became young adults and life was tough or whatever happens in life. And then we became tighter.
Yeah.
So right now, like, we're very close with my sisters.
Yeah.
Very close.
Because my sister and I are 5 years apart. It's only when we got to 18, 19. that
Yes,
we were like,
that's when it...
we have a conversation. Before that. Yeah. So what values shaped who you are? How did your parents influence your character?
So I grew up in a very big family because we were all like my grandparents' children. So I grew up, I think the love of family was the biggest thing in our family. Like my cousins and older sisters didn't really have friends because they were each other's friends, right? So I think the love of family was one of the biggest things. And my grandfather was very, very strict. So I think only now when I'm older, I realize it's integrity.
Yeah.
Just do everything with integrity.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, the love of family is very evident because sometimes you can just get in the car when they call and the rest of us will just have to wait.
Yes. Yes.
Which is, so that's real. So I am here to confirm that you live your values. Yeah. So you were a television presenter on SABC 2 at one time, which I actually didn't know. How did that come about? And what did that role teach you about communication and personal branding?
Sure, that's a long question. But okay, how did it come about? So I think from a very long time, like when I was very young, my mom introduced me to the stage and I loved it, right? So I did pageantry at a very young age. I danced, I did drama. So I sort of knew that one day this is the space that I'd like to be in. I didn't know that it would end up being a TV presenter, but I knew somehow that would happen. So one day when I was in matric, SABC came to Bloem. It was a nationwide search. They came to Bloem. And then my mom heard it on the radio. And then she said, stop whatever you're doing and go to that audition. I was like, no, I'm studying. She's like, just go. It's not guaranteed, but just go.
Yeah.
I went, and it was fun for me because this is what I love doing. 3 months later, they call and they're like, you got it. No shortlisting, no nothing.
You it.
Yes. I was so confused because I thought probably the second round, they're like, no, you've got it. You need to relocate.
And that was it.
Then that was it.
But you still had a journey ahead of you. But okay, our little conversation, because my question was long. What did it teach you about communication and personal branding?
Sure. So I did that for about 3 years. I was 18 when I moved and did that. So it's a very fragile stage of your life,
isn't it?
Yes. But what I learned about that is about personal branding. If you don't tell people who you are, they are going to tell you who you are.
Wow. Mm-hmm.
And it's going to be very hard to differentiate between what they say you are and who you say you are. So if you don't do that from like the get-go, then it's very hard to break it apart later.
Yeah. That was a good lesson to learn, yeah.
It was tough. It was a tough lesson.
Yeah.
Because then you are always conflicted as to what is happening to your own identity. But I had to learn that lesson.
And then you decided, I have a journey that I still need to go on. So you are a chartered accountant working as a senior specialist in a financial services company. What does that job entail? And is it aligned to your vision?
So my job as a senior specialist, so I'm a senior specialist in reporting. Mm-hmm. So I do a lot of management reporting. So management reporting for your excos and management information. But I'm working in the African space. So I do technical support for the in-country teams, that's very interesting. Is it aligned with my vision? I think for the first few years after I qualified, I was a bit frustrated and I thought it wasn't, right? But that was also because at that time, I don't think I had been able to define what my vision is, right? Mm-hmm. And thanks to the help of a wonderful mentor, I've now been able to articulate that very well. It's still work in progress, as it always is. So my personal vision is just to try to use up all my potential in every space I find myself in. So I appreciate the space that I'm finding myself in right now, especially because I'm working with African countries, because I'm learning a bit about Africa on a daily basis without having to do research, So, and I think that always happens, wherever you find yourself, somehow it is aligned.
Yeah.
It might not be clear as crystal, but somehow it is aligned. Yeah.
Especially when you're not feeling in conflict, when you're just feeling then it must be something in your soul that is, why do you say it's interesting, the work on reporting?
So the people that I work with, very interesting, because we work with East Africa a lot, and a bit of Southern Africa. It's just the cultures are different, and that translates into work culture and,
East Africa, are they anywhere close to being similar to South African?
I think the work ethic, but I think they work. I think they really, really work. And I think they're different, right? Their work ethic is different. You would say it's similar because they work all the time and they deliver, but I don't think it's the same. I think they are driven by different reasons. I really think they are driven. They are so honest in their work. Honest, and they want to do well, you know. I think South Africa, because we are spoiled for choice, you know, sometimes people want to do well, but sometimes people are just
collecting the paycheck.
That's it.
Can be interesting. What do you think your unique value proposition is?
Do you like this question?
You know I do.
And it's such a tough question. But I think I show up and give my best when I show up. Like, when I walk away from a situation, I feel like I gave it my all, right? And sometimes I don't think much of it, but then the feedback then recognizes that. So for me, it's showing up and giving it your best when you show up.
You're always present.
Yes, I try.
Yeah. What is the one unwritten rule you wish you knew about the workplace before you started your career?
Unwritten.
That has, if you knew that, it would have made your career journey less challenging.
One, there's conflict everywhere. And people have their own insecurities, and they come from a place of scarcity, right? So when you come in as a young person, don't take all of that, don't personalize any of that, right? And don't let any of that that's coming from the outside define your journey where you are. Like, don't leave a place because people are going through that, you know?
How long did it take for you to learn that?
Sure, very long, like 3 jobs later.
Yeah.
Yeah, about 3 jobs later.
I hope somebody's listening, because that's very valuable. You have asked me twice now to be your mentor.
Yeah, it's just twice.
The ones that I noted. So the first time is when I did the inspirational talk to the group when you were just about to do your board exams as part of Psycha's Thuthuka program. And then the second time when I launched the Bursary Leadership Mentoring Program, because I posted on social media, and then you called and you said, why am I not part of this? So I was like, well. So from your point of view, what are the 2 main benefits that you've gained from mentorship?
I think the one we touched on in the other question, just being able to define your personal vision. Because, I overthink things and I want things to be perfect before I can present it to someone else. But mentorship just throws you in the deep end and just define it. So I've been able to define my personal vision, and that has just made everything else a bit lighter, because then you don't panic about things, because you can see how it kind of fits into where you're trying to go. So that's number 1. Number 2, it's like a mirror, right? It's like you are choosing someone to hold up a mirror for you to see the things in your life that you are contributing to, right? Whether it's self-sabotage, or whether you procrastinate a lot, or whether you don't really believe in yourself. Any of that, I think a mentor is the best fit person to do that for you, because you chose the mentor, right? So you said to them, I want to see this.
Yeah.
Because sometimes when friends tell us, family tell us, you just think, what do they know? But your mentor, you don't take it for granted.
And I used to watch your face.
I know.
Because sometimes the reaction will be, I don't like what you're saying.
Yes.
But you will stay with it.
Yeah.
And I think that's what always is like, it could have gone whichever way. What are the 3 things you would advise someone looking for a mentor or enroll on a structured mentoring program to look out for?
Firstly, I love mentorship. Like,
yeah, I know.
I love mentorship, and I feel like there's mentors everywhere, like structured or unstructured, you know. But if you're looking to be part of a structured one, I'd say, firstly, identify what it is that you feel like you are aligned with, or the value, like that person's values, right? That you feel like you are kind of aligned to, right? Or aligned with. Because the journey is not, it's like you said just now, it's not an easy journey. You're not always going to agree, right? But if you remember why is Dudu such an important person in my life, then it's easier to take it, right? So clearly identify what it is about that person that you want to be associated with.
Yeah.
Number 2, empty your cup, right? Because yes, you know what you want from a mentorship journey, but that's not always what you get.
Yeah.
It's not always what you get. And someone else taking the time to open up their space for you and hold space for you and, you know, guide you through life, that's like, it's personal, right? So what you get exposed to in that space, don't take it for granted. So empty your cup. Your life might take a different direction after that.
The values part is critical because I think sometimes if somebody's prominent or is a name brand,
you see, yeah.
but you don't necessarily, because you think whoever they are is going to rub off on you. That doesn't work that way.
No.
Because, so the values thing I think is an important one for people to note. What unforgettable wisdom has a mentor imparted to you that you find so valuable that you've made it part of your life journey? And it's made your journey more of an adventure than a dread.
I think I am an overthinker and I get lost in my head a lot and things don't get done because of that. But the one thing I've learned from mentorship is to never say no to opportunities because you feel like you're not ready. I think you've like said that to me. Someone else has also said that to me. And since I tried applying that, things just happen.
Yeah.
Yeah, things just happen. I think waiting for the right time, I struggle with that. So mentorship has really just helped me in that sense.
Yeah, because, what is the right time?
There isn't.
You learn as you jump.
Yep.
Yeah, get the parachute and open it up. How has being on the Bursary leadership mentoring journey changed your perspective about life and being human, if at all?
So we gather, right, to talk about personal vision. Then we talk about our ambitions. But in all of this, then we discover something else, that people are people and everyone has their own thing that they're struggling with. And this own thing that they're struggling with is most probably the reason why it feels like everything else is not progressing as it should. So never look at people, don't define people according to the outside things that they working hard towards or any of that. Just remember everyone has a thing that they're carrying and is dragging them, and be sensitive towards that. We all have our thing.
Yeah. Just when you're in a vulnerable space.
Yes, and we cry a lot there.
You're telling me. A lot of crying a lot.
Yeah.
But, yeah.
So handle people with care. Be sensitive.
Because you don't know what other people are dealing with.
Yeah.
And we're all dealing with something. Yep. But also not to minimize what somebody else.
Yes. No, absolutely.
Because sometimes it's like, oh gosh, really? Is that an issue? And then it is an issue for them.
Yes.
What has been the most awkward moment you have experienced as a professional in your career thus far? And how did you work through it?
Awkward.
I didn't say difficult on purpose. Just
yes, awkward. So awkward, I'd say being the liked one in the group, For me, I found that awkward, and I still find it awkward because that comes with responsibility, right? Then you need to be an advocate for those that don't seem to be favored, right? And it's very difficult in the beginning to be able to do that from the get-go. And it's also something you need to handle with care, because now you don't need to be aggressive or like, be like, I am the voice of the voiceless. But it's a sort of a privilege that is awkward because you haven't really done anything for it, but it comes with responsibility. I'm still figuring it out, but yeah, then you just need to be conscious that then you need to use it for everyone else.
Yeah. Because some people just look at that as...
That's a trap.
I'm charmed in there.
No. I personally feel like it's a trap because what is the saying? There's no Ronaldo. There's no winner in a losing team. So...
Yeah. In corporates, you can be a winner in a...
I mean, you can.
Yeah. But it's not the value system
you just don't feel nice about it.
Well, depending on your value system. You see, now you are exposing your value system, which is good. And that's nice that you have to think of other people. When you have the privilege, how then do I use this privilege for the benefit of others? Very good. Do you understand why we're having this conversation?
You just articulated it so well.
How do you view failure? Give me an example of one incident that you view as a failure, and what wisdom did you gain from it?
Sure. How do I view failure? So my first encounter with failure, well, when I thought, okay, I failed, I really struggled with that because it was the first time, it was later on in university. And everyone who does CA stream, you fail at some point, but they didn't tell us that, right? So then the first time yes, it was really, really shocking to my system. So that was the first time I really faced failure, and I think I really struggled to get my head out of it because I think 2 years later or so, I went for an interview, and the interview went well. But the lady, I think she had a psychology background, and she said to me, "You are still holding on to that failure, that thing that you thought was failure." So my first encounter with failure was really
traumatic.
Yes.
Was that when I met you guys on the Thuthuka program? No?
No.
Just before or after?
It was just before.
Wow.
Right? But since then, I think when you grow older, I'm not scared of failure anymore because I also understand my character now and how the universe responds to my character. I'm a very stubborn person. So sometimes I think failure is a redirection. Either that or I just need to do something differently. Or there's a lesson here that I'm not getting. So for now, I see it as communication, the universe's way of communicating to me.
Then this one is a perfect follow-up. What's the most courageous decision you've taken in life thus far, and what drove you to that decision?
So when I got the call
Yeah.
to move up to Johannesburg,
Yeah.
I was 3 months into my varsity journey. So at the University of the Free State, got a bursary to study accounting there. And then I get the call to move to Johannesburg. So now I must drop everything for this other thing that I...
Opportunity.
Yes. So I think that was very courageous because nothing in me said it means it's the end of one journey and the beginning of it. I wanted it all.
Yeah.
So then I had to speak to Psycha because I was studying with a Psycho Bursary Thuthuka. So I had to speak to them, write letters and motivate to say I'm moving to Joburg because I'm chasing my dreams and it's part of what I believe in, I'm just this little kid from Bloemfontein and I'm speaking to this big organization that gave me an opportunity and gave me a bursary to go study. And now I'm saying to them, just wait a little bit. There's other things that I need to take on as well. So that was very courageous, but it worked out in the end. Because the following year, then I knocked on Sanka's door and said, well, I'm back. And like I said I would be. Can we make it work?
And they made it work.
And they made it work.
Well done. You see, if you do not ask the universe, how can it answer you? And if it didn't, then it would have meant that wasn't your path. Yet. What role do relationships play in your life? Can you share 2 ways in which you cultivated and maintained meaningful relationships?
I don't like this question. I don't like this question. Relationships, those are like particularly difficult for me because they challenge my character. I want to show up when I show up for you, and when we are here, I'm having the best. I am very present, right? But when I disappear into my corner, I just want to be left alone in my corner. And that, in the real world, it's not received well, right? So for my character, relationships are very challenging, but relationships are very important because that's where you grow. That's the seed of all the good things that you could ever ask for in life. And this is like not romantic, just all sorts of relationships, right? Because that's where the healing is. Because then the people in your life will challenge you and tap into scars that you don't want to touch, right? Someone will come and say, oh, Kunja, last year this happened. Are you fine? And you're like, you see, why are you going there? So there's a lot of healing and searching that you have to do. But there's also like bad habits that people need to call you out on. And only like close, intimate relationships can do that for you. So I think that's where your biggest growth comes from in life. I don't like them, but I think they are very, very important.
Yeah.
Because that's where you grow.
So how do you recharge and take care of your mental and emotional well-being?
How do I recharge? I read here and there. I always find that somehow the book that I'm reading at that time answers questions either questions I have or questions I didn't know that I have. I'll give an example, can I? I just read What Happened to You by Oprah. I forgot the doctor's name and the doctor. So they're having a conversation like we are right now, but it's all about the trauma that you've been through in your life and how you respond, how your body responds to the trauma. So then it's just a book about understanding yourself.
Yeah.
So I found it, enlightening.
Oh.
So I read a bit, and then I speak to my mom. I speak to my mom and about nothing, actually. She will just speak, but we are not speaking about much, right? Because my mom has such a simple outlook on life. So nothing is ever too like, oh my goodness, for her. She'll just be like, man, it can pass.
Yeah.
Don't worry about it. You know, she just brushes things off, which is a good and a bad thing. Mm-hmm. Because in that moment, I needed to seem like something small. But sometimes when I'm like, it's big, then she's still like, no, it's not. But that
she helps you keep perspective.
Yes, absolutely. She does.
Yeah. Now, I love speaking to my mom. Well, things are evolving. She used to keep me company and I'm driving. So chat about everything and nothing. That's the way.
Yeah.
What are the 2 biggest challenges you believe chartered accountants as a profession face today?
So along the journey, right, because it's difficult to qualify, and now the numbers are also not looking so great, right? But there's a lot of people that go through the whole process and then they don't get the boards. They've completed their training, all of those. I don't know how absorbable, if that's a word, they are into the system and how far they actually go and the support they actually get. So that's problem number one. All these people that went through the training and didn't...
And then don't get the boat exam.
Yes. Yeah. Like what happens then, right? The other problem I think the profession is facing is mental wellness. Because it's a very challenging journey. It makes you question everything about why you are even doing this, you know. By the time you get to the other side, you qualify and then you enter the corporate world, which is also not so friendly. I think a lot of people then, they have breakdowns. But it's also because your system has been through so much, right? That then now this harsh corporate world, you can't handle it anymore.
Because you're already run down.
Yes. So mental wellness is a big thing.
Is there support?
There are. So I think the young people that are coming into the space now are doing something about it. They're starting organizations that are handling that and getting involved with SAICA. You know, and SAICA is also like big on it now. They're starting programs because they also realize that
yes,
it's an issue.
You don't have the same issues?
Of course, I went through it. That's why I know that it's an issue.
So what is your greatest concern about the future of South Africa?
Sure. Our young people they're not a fan of education. They don't value education. I understand that there's alternative careers now with social media and all of that.
Being an influencer.
Yeah. And they're very successful, right? But you know what education does for especially a country like ours, right? It's not for them to be employable, but it's to give them options. Because that's the true empowerment. When you have an option to say, I want to be an influencer. It's not that I need to be one. I want to be one. I can also just go into corporate if I wanted to. Oh, I can start a business, you know. And also, like, it's great that they're following the alternative careers. But there's so many stories of artists and people who've tried creative space before, who then were taken advantage of because they were not educated, you know? So before
don't understand their contracts, understand the financial.
You know? So before someone else comes to empower you, I feel like education is the first type of empowerment that you do for yourself. So I worry about that because they really don't.
Yeah. Are you doing anything about it?
I currently am on the Thuthuka alumni committee, right? So there's like 4 pillars to it. There's the pillar that deals with the young professionals, which is my concern, and that's my area where we deal with leadership for young professionals. Then there's the graduate program. Then there's also the undergrads, right, that we deal with. So in that, then we discuss and try to, it's very new, started this year.
Okay.
But we're trying to come up with initiatives where we reach out to all these different levels of young people, even if they don't become CAs, but just try to figure out what it is that they need to be empowered with to be able to successfully complete their studies.
I hope it does well.
I hope so too.
Yep, it will, with you involved. What do you define as success and a life well lived?
So we all have goals, right? And things we want to achieve in life. But life doesn't always work out like that. You sometimes find yourself in spaces that you never anticipated to be in. But I think you are successful in that space if you give it your best. If you do your best there and give it your best and kind of like leave it, I know saying leave something in a better place, that's very vague, right? But you will know that I found this way and the little bit of contribution that I made is this. So that for me is success. And a life well lived is making decisions or moves in your life where fear was not the main reason whether you made those decisions or did not make those decisions. So fear, where you overcome fear, your biggest fears, that's a life well lived. Yeah.
And you're doing that now?
I'm thinking about it.
Yeah.
I think I do it, but there are other fears that I'm like, oh, and I think you know them, right? Like the fear of becoming a mother, those kind of things, right? Yeah, so if one can overcome the things that we think are difficult just because of fear, I think that's a life well lived.
Yeah. Triumph despite the fear.
That's it.
What's still on your bucket list to achieve? Just one. Just one.
It's one, but it's like it's big. It's got a lot of, I think, impact work. I know that's the word that gets thrown around, but I'll give an example. When I was very young, still in Bloem, there was next to my church, there was a open area. And I always envisioned building a center there, right? And it's an after-school center where where kids come there for leadership development, number one, but also just like learn about opportunities.
Yeah.
That in their daily life they wouldn't be able to learn about. But also things like access to free internet and where you can do whatever you want, that your school doesn't have those facilities or at home you don't have those facilities. Because the South African reality is that there's still a lot of children that don't have any of those things, right? So that was, when I was young, I used to think about that. And then I grew up, life happened, and we still haven't done things like that, right? And then I grew up and I started going to a church in Mamelodi. And now there's a drug problem in South Africa. A big drug problem.
What's it called? Nyaobe.
It's a big drug problem. It's a sad South African story. And guess what came to my mind? Now I want to build a facility at church, because it's a big church, so there's many, like, what do you call them? Regions.
Right. Different circuits.
Yes. Yeah. Yes. So hopefully if I can get the funds and just start it, like you once said, just start, you see. But the vision is to have a center, again, similar center. But now this one is just to, once the guys are rehabilitated, because the church does that, right? It tries to get the young people rehabilitated. But society does not have room to take them back.
Don't trust them anymore.
Yeah, I'll give an example. One young guy there was leaving and he's fully rehabilitated. He's now ready to go try out his new life. But his family wants nothing to do with him. He used to work, but now he can't work because now he has this thing that he was a drug addict. So what are the chances of him coming back into society and not going back to drugs? Because there's nothing else for him to go back to. So, yeah, just impact work, but not like impact work that deals with everyday problems.
That's going to be a tough one.
Yes.
The path for somebody to integrate back into society.
Yeah.
You know, during one of our sessions, we've covered wealth creation, and you had some nice tips.
Did I?
Yeah, about just financial management. And do you remember?
I don't remember.
But in the spur of the moment, what is the one tip from a CA?
I wouldn't give it from a CA, right?
Well,
I'd give it from what my mom taught me.
Which was?
Make sure you have enough for a rainy day.
If rainy days are every day, how do you have enough for a rainy day?
If rainy days are every day,
Because people are always in crises.
especially now, right?
So how do they get to have enough for the rainy day?
So I'll give a practical example because of the world that we live in today.
Yeah.
Try to have like 3 months worth of rent, right? Your debt must not be so much that you won't be able to cover it for like the next 3 months. But also people must be okay with letting go. It's okay to start afresh and living within your means until things open up again.
Yeah.
Because every season is temporary. So people must be able to live, no matter how lavish your life is,
Can tone it down.
please treat it as a crisis to say, you are just going into crisis mode.
Moving with your mother, sister.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. Just think of it as a temporary situation. Might be 3 years, but it's temporary.
Okay.
Yeah.
We can chat forever.
We can.
But
I love that.
No, we
love
once
it.
had a session, I think we started at 6 and ended at midnight.
Yes. And the network was like at the end, like
It
guys.
was like, guys, stop talking now.
Yes.
Yeah, that was a hell of a mentoring session.
Yeah.
To close off our conversation, what was
So soon.
what wisdom would you like to leave us with?
As people, we panic. We panic. And I think that for me, that's what I learned in my 20s, that we panic, and because things are not working out how we thought or envisioned them to work out at a certain time, we panic and we think things are never going to work out. But somehow, if you stay committed, and by committed, I mean even the universe knows when you are alone in a dark room, you still really believe that I want to do 1, 2, 3, and I'm trying to do 1, 2, 3. It takes time. It takes time, but things fall into place eventually. Things fall into place. So just hold on and be honest with the universe all the time. Don't now confuse the universe and now you don't want it because it's too tough or... Yeah, don't panic about things not working out when you thought they were supposed to.
Yeah.
They do in the end, but it takes time.
Yes. Because you tell the universe this, and then while it's still working on it, then you're like, then it's like, okay, I know what is it that you
What must we do now?
Yeah. That's my favorite thing to say. Be very directed. Well, thank you very much.
That was really nice.
And it has been a privilege being your mentor. And I hope people learn from this conversation, seeking out your mentor, but be aligned to the values. Learn who that human being is, because there are many difficult conversations that happen and you will think somebody's attacking your person and they're not.
Learned that the hard way.
Yes, I know your face is to do strange things. But thank you.
Thank you so much. Such a beautiful conversation.
To continue to get wise and soul-nourishing content, help Wisdom Personified Conversations with Dudu Msomi grow by subscribing to our YouTube channel. Don't miss any conversation. Subscribe, like, and share. Help us to grow so we can bring you even more diverse content that makes your wisdom journey not just insightful, but fun and joyous as well. Until next time, when we chat to another wise African. Thank you for making time for this episode of Wisdom Personified Conversations with Dudu Msomi. Please like and subscribe to our channel. Click on the bell notification to be informed when our next episode is available. Wisdom Personified Conversations with Dudu Msomi is also now available on Facebook Watch, Apple and Google Podcasts, as well as Spotify. Enjoy the wisdom journey.